because the Food and Drug Administration has launched an investigation into the safety of the popular, and I mean popular, anti-wrinkle drug Botox and one of its competitors, Myoblock, over concern about reports of symptoms of botulism in some of their users. So to clear this up or explain it to us is Dr. Charles Crutchfield, dermatologist with Crutchfield Dermatology. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, and good morning to all the listeners. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, and to you too. And when I mentioned that this was a popular anti-wrinkle drug, I know many people who have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And not a single one that's had a problem. But apparently, when I first heard about it, I thought, yeah, I want to put botulism in my head. That's a smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's being used for other things as well now.
Yes. Well, in fact, it was actually FDA approved in the late 1980s. So it's been a medication available to treat medical conditions probably close to 18 years now.
Okay, and then is it approved for the cosmetic reasons?
Yeah, in the United States, it's approved for 5 reasons. One thing it's approved for is the treatment of blepharospasm. That's where your eyelid twitches. It's also approved for strabismus, and that's with cross eyes, so you can relax the muscles of the eyes straighten out. It's also approved for the treatment of cervical dystonia, and that's where you have a twisting of the neck. One of the muscles contracts and the other one doesn't, so your neck is twisted, and you can relax the muscle so your neck is straight. It's also been approved recently, about 4 years ago, for the treatment of hyperhidrosis, or too much perspiration under the arms. And lastly, it's approved for the treatment of unwanted facial wrinkles between the eyebrows. So those are the 5 indications in the United States. It's been approved for the cosmetic treatment for wrinkles for about 6 years, or a little over 6 years. I think it was around 2000. And in 2002, it was approved for the treatment of hyperhidrosis.
And that's when all the movie stars were getting Botox in their armpits, so they wouldn't.
Yes, on the red carpet.
Yes, have stains in their beautiful silk gowns.
And the politicians. So when they raise their hands to wave at the crowds, you don't see a blue ring on their blue shirt.
Come on.
Yes.
Wasn't like that in my day. Okay, so have you had any trouble with patients of yours?
No, I have over 2,000 patients that I've treated with Botox, and we actually have done over 10,000 patient treatments in our office. We haven't had any problems, except with some of the common things. Sometimes when you do an injection in the skin, you can get a little bruise. Sometimes you can get some minor swelling. And every once in a great while, it can relax the muscles to the point where you have a slight droop of the eyelids that lasts a few days. That happens about 1 in 1,000 treatments in our office.
So, but there are things that are happening to patients, which brings it to the FDA's attention.
And the story on this was, there's a public group called Public Citizen. It's kind of a watchdog group. And they reviewed the records from approximately 9 years, from 1997 through 2006. And they found 16 patients who had been treated with botulinum toxin, either type A or B, and Myoblock is type B. There are about 5 different types. There are 2 that are currently used. And there were 16 patients who, after their treatments, died. Now, sometimes it was close to after the treatment, sometimes it was months later. So one of the questions is, was there a direct cause and effect? And so what happened is they asked the FDA, hey, will you guys please investigate this because this looks a little bit odd. So the FDA has an early warning system. So what happened was the FDA said, you know what, folks? We've been asked to take a look at this. We're going to do this. We're giving you a warning that we're looking at it, but we haven't come to any conclusions yet. We will let you know after our investigation is complete. So that's really the status of it right now.
And yet I see that the Public Citizens Group may want the FDA to put the black box warning on it, which is the strongest type of all, which is the kind of thing they tell you, you can have this done, but you could die.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to keep everything in perspective. I mean, anytime you use something in excessive amounts, and when I looked at the cases, I looked at all 16, they were usually used to treat children under the age of 12 who had really severe cerebral palsy, where they were using massive dosages of the Botox, sometimes 600, 800, 1,000 units. Usually when we treat somebody cosmetically, we're using 15 or 20 units, so we're well below that threshold. And that's why, since it's been in use, there's never been one death associated with the cosmetic use of Botox. There have been over almost 15 to 20 million treatments in the United States alone, and never one side effect. And of the 16 that the group brought to the FDA's attention, only one was associated with the cosmetic treatment of wrinkles, and that was a patient who expired almost 8 weeks later from pneumonia. So the cause and effect they haven't established that at all.
So what is the FDA looking for then?
They're looking, well, first of all, I think they probably want to make sure that the FDA's job is to make sure that medicines are 2 things, both effective and safe. So they're going to probably take a close look at it and make sure and see if there are really any true connections between the use of the medication and the problems associated with complications and or death in the patients. But I think it's important to note, only one person was treated for wrinkles, and that one died months later from pneumonia. And there are a lot of people that die of pneumonia that have never even heard of Botox. So to say that the Botox caused it, I think, is really quite a stretch in this case.
Is there a test that someone might do if they were considering using these drugs for either cosmetic or any of the muscle spasms, crossed eyes, hyperhidrosis? Hyperhidrosis. I couldn't read my own notes. Is there something like if you're going to get a collagen or silicone or anything, they give you a little, like an allergy test?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times what we'll do, and I think it's really important, anybody that has a Botox treatment done, you need to make sure you're going to a reputable physician. You want to make sure that the doctor's actually doing it. You don't want to have an assistant or someone else doing it. But you also want to make sure they review your health history. And in your health history, the most important thing is if you have an allergy to eggs, because Botox itself is stabilized by albumin, which is an egg protein. And that's the only time we see any type of allergic reactions. And like I said, I've done over 10,000 injections in my practice, and I've never seen an allergy to it.
And you asked that question, of course.
Absolutely. We review and make sure that they don't have any allergies to albumin. I think as a physician, there are two dictums that I go by. One is from the Hippocratic Oath, and the first one is do no harm. And I think physicians, it's incumbent upon them to make sure we're not doing anything harmful to our patient. I also trained out at the Mayo Clinic, and one of the things that the old Mayo brothers used to say is always when you're considering what to do for a patient, do what's best for the patient. And I think those two things are very, very important to realize.
Yes, indeed. So, with Dr. Charles Crutchfield, dermatologist with Crutchfield Dermatology, we're talking a little bit about the Botox scare. I think we've sort of put that to rest. If you have any questions about your skin and you want to talk to Dr. Crutchfield, give us a call at 651-989-9226, or if you're out of the area, 1-866-989-9226. You can also email us right to the studio, and that is WCCOradio.com. Email studio now. Dr. Crutchfield, I'm wondering, this time of year with all the dry skin and things, what are the most frequent complaints that stroll through your office?
That's what we see, dry, itchy winter skin. And in fact, another thing that I see too is patients will complain of rough, cracked heels. And one of my old partners used to call it Minnesota Winterfoot.
Minnesota Winterfoot. What
right.
about the cracks at the end of your fingers?
That too. It's kind of the same thing, but it occurs on the fingers, and it's really easy to treat. The most important thing is hydration of the skin, and it's the liberal use of really good moisturizers. A lot of people love to take those long, hot showers in Minnesota winters, but the key is after you get out to seal in all the moisture that your skin has absorbed through the shower or the bath. So you pad dry with a cotton towel and use a really good moisturizer to seal it in. It both seals it in, adds a little bit more moisture, and put it on one other time a day. I also recommend using very, very gentle cleansers, ones that have either low or no detergent contents, so it won't take away the natural oils in your skin.
And what can you recommend a name brand? Because I've used that
Sure.
Fanny cream. It's really, really heavy.
Yes. And I can recommend a lot, and I'm happy to say I have no conflict of interest. I don't consult or have any stocks in these companies, but yeah. I love to recommend Dove Cleansing Bar. Vanny Cream also makes a really nice cleansing bar that's good. Cetaphil makes a good cleanser.
What about the moisturizer?
Moisturizers. There's a new one called CeraVe, and it's great, CERAVE. And it's got this thing called a microvesicular emulsion, which is a mouthful. But the way it works, it's got these little teeny microspheres that are like onions, and they have layers of water and lotion and water and lotion. And when you put it on, the layers keep breaking down for several hours, moisturizing your skin.
And where can you get that? At the drugstore?
Those are readily available at most outlets, Targets and Walgreens, places like that.
Cool.
And it's inexpensive. You can buy the lotion for about $12 and the cleansing bar for $3. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to do a good job helping your skin over the winter.
Well, we do have some calls for you, Doc.
Sure.
Charles is calling from Minneapolis. Good morning, Charles. Happy Valentine's Day.
Well, same to you. Thank you. My question is this. I have really bad itching. My legs itch really, really bad, usually this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
But I get some relief when I get into a really, really hot shower. It feels so good on my legs. And I'm just curious if it's just like a winter itch or if there's something else going on. And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Sure. Well, I think we all like long, hot showers. But what I'd recommend is just what I talked about. Make sure after your long, hot shower, you pad dry with a towel and rub a lot of lotion in and do that twice a day. And most dry skin is itchy skin, but I think probably 90% of the time that should take care of it. If it doesn't take care of it, see your dermatologist. Also use a gentle cleanser so it doesn't take away the natural oils.
Okay, Mary's calling from St. Paul. Good morning, Mary. Happy Valentine's Day.
Good morning.
Good
I have
morning.
a question about rosacea.
Sure.
And I know that IPL is sometimes used for the redness, and I am wondering how you would compare that with photodynamic therapy, and are rosacea patients more sensitive to the ALA that you would apply? And I'll take my answer off the phone. Thank you.
Sure.
And Dr. Crutchfield, we have about 30 seconds.
Oh, I got to go fast. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I recommend there's a new one called Advanced Fluorescent Technology, AFT light source, and that's what you really want to use to treat the redness. It's better than photodynamic therapy, and it's a little bit better than the IPL. So that's in a short answer for you. As far as the last few seconds, I just want to remind everybody that as far as Botox is concerned, there have been over 15 million treatments cosmetically in the United States over the last 7 years, and there have been 0 deaths attributed to it. So, but the key is safety first. Make sure you're going to see a board-certified dermatologist, ENT, plastic surgeon, or ophthalmologist for your treatments.
Thank you, Dr. Charles Crutchfield, for that
reminder.
reminder.
One other thing, too?
Well, we're out of time, dearie
Oh,
pie.
okay.
CrutchfieldDermatology.com, and we